Nation. It's your boy Manny Digital. I'm queuing up another throwback episode this week. We've got two brothers on the fatherhoods that are down for the count this week. So EFN and KGB are going through it. So we decided, you know what, let's throw another episode up there that people might want to remember before the year closes. So without further ado, actually, no. Let me tell you a little bit about what y'all about to listen to, right? So y'all know Travis Scott to be this multi-platinum selling global icon. But what you might not know is how he was brought up, how he was raised. And for that, we have a special guest that we were able to call on to create episode 76, which is originally what this episode was. And Mr. Jacques Webster broke down for us how he went about raising his children, Travis being one of three, and some of the trials and tribulations of that journey. So without further ado, we're going to put y'all on so y'all can remember if you haven't heard it before. And if you're new to it, hope you enjoy it. This is our episode with Jacques Webster, Travis Scott's father.
This is KGB. What up is DJ EFN?
Yo, and this is your man, Manny Digital. Welcome to the Fatherhoods podcast.
All right, so tonight on the Fatherhoods podcast, we got a very special guest. We got the one and only Big Jacques Webster, the first father of Travis Scott, known as, is it Lil Jack? Jack?
Oh, yeah. We call him Baby Jack.
Baby Jack.
No, all his fans call him Travis Scott, so you know that's good.
Right. Let's not get it twisted.
It's all good.
All good. And a esteemed brother of Groove 5 Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated.
Absolutely. Number one since 1962. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. So, Jack, man, thank you for joining us here. I guess,
Thank you, God.
I guess as far as starting it off, so you've got three kids, right? And Travis being the oldest?
That's correct, yes. Yeah, my youngest two, they're twins. That's Joshua and Jordan. They're 19. They're twins.
So it's all J's in the house.
Yeah, it's all J's. Actually, all the initials are JBW. That's ironic. Their mom kind of set that up like that. So they all have the same initials, one thing. Yeah, so it's cool you brought that up. And we all have the same initials.
And you're a musician yourself, right? You're a drummer?
Oh yeah. I was coming from my dad was a band major in college before he changed careers, and he taught a couple of kids that kind of made it probably in the music world. And you know, I picked up driving drum since I was 2 years old. So I've been doing that for quite a while. And of course, got married and went to the business world. And after a few years of working, I decided to get back on the drums and been kicking them ever since.
Nice.
I'm working on a couple of projects, and I hope to be released pretty soon.
So when your son got in, I mean, was he always interested in music, or was this something that he saw you doing and decided to pick up? Or, I mean, and were you encouraging of him following in your footsteps with music?
Yes and no. He picked it up by watching me. But, you know, I wanted him to, I kind of wanted him to be a professional football player. I kind of had his life planned out because I used to take him to a lot of intramural. I really was heavily involved with him in sports, you know. I'm playing a lot of intramural football and basketball because I wanted to kind of find his sports niche. And he was pretty good. He was pretty good in football growing up. I mean, once he got to junior high and to high school, or middle school and to high school, that's when I kind of started getting back to my music. And he kind of seen what I was doing. And I bought him a little Mac computer for his room. And he started in his room, creating beats. And of course, I wanted him to go to college. He went to UTSA for a semester or a year.
Sorry, we lost you a little bit over there.
Yeah, we just lost you on the college piece there.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I was saying that, you know, I wanted he had got accepted to UTSA, and he went there about a year or so, but music was his first love. So he dropped out of that and just pursued it full time. And boy, I mean, he kind of proved me wrong because I really wanted him to get his education first, and then of course do the music. I mean, I really had no problem pursuing the music thing, but I definitely wanted him to get his degree first. But he went on pursued it his way, and of course, it turned out really great for him. I'm really proud of him.
So when that happened, I'm assuming. Obviously, you just mentioned you and likely your wife were not necessarily the happiest for him to drop out of school.
No.
What kind of friction did that cause, if any, in your relationship with him?
Well, it caused quite a bit of friction because I'm a stern parent. I'm leaning in a way that I want him to mature and do his own thing because I kind of grew up in a protective household, so I definitely had that little thing about myself that I want to portray onto my kids. I want to be a protective father. But I also realized, you gotta let the kids do what they want to do. And plus, my son, I knew he had something in him. I wasn't too nervous because I knew I would listen. Of course, I'd be hitting the beats. He'd be doing this bedroom all the time, and it was sounding pretty good. I didn't want to encourage him too much. Let him know that it's really do sound good. But I'd be nodding here every next room in the beats. I said, well, he really got it. He's on to something. So. And I'm just really, I'm just really happy that it turned out the way it did. Of course, it took a while. It took a while. But it just, I guess, it just being there. Being supportive, even because of course it wasn't easy for him. He went through a lot of struggles trying to get his stuff out there. And of course, he wanted to come home. Because he felt he wasn't getting that break like he wanted to get it, but. I always taught my kids, you have to endure. Anything worth something, you have to work toward it. Nothing in life comes easy. So that's one thing that I instilled in him, and he's a very hard worker. So he just kept at it, and eventually, he found his niche and he found his success in life. So that's all really any parent really can ask for. So I'm really proud of him on that aspect.
And so so most of our kids are youngish. Like Manny, you got the oldest with a 13-year-old, right?
She's gonna be 13.
Yeah. So as a parent and of a son who's a little bit older, and maybe you guys are having some friction, due to leaving school and pursuing music. Like, how do you? I guess. So, for instance, if he's saying he wants to come home, or I don't know what the whole scenario is, but how, as a parent, do you deal with that? Because I've yet to have to experience anything like that because my kid is he's 7. So
yeah.
I'm just curious how you were able to approach that and kind of stand firm in what your belief is and all that good stuff.
Well, I guess one thing you definitely have to love your kids unconditionally, and one thing I always put myself in his shoes because I was his age at one time. I know I wasn't. I always had all the answers growing up, and But one thing my parents taught me, and I teach my kids, you really have to make your own decisions in life. You have to be responsible for what you do, and that's primarily what I teach my kids. Of course, as a parent, you're definitely going to be there for them. If they fall, you're going to be there to catch them, and definitely that'll lift them up. And that's one thing. My son, even to this very day, my son, he'll call me, Dad, something's going on. I need some help. I need some of this. So he still calls me. So that's one thing about it. That's one bond that would never be broken between the father and the son. So and no matter how old your kids get, they're still you're going to be your kids. So
yeah,
there's really no to be honest, there's really not a direct formula. You just have to be constant in your kids' life. You got to know your kids and know if there's a problem. You got to be there before that problem really happens. And if the problem does happen, just be there, to guide them through the process. And that's basically what all you can do. Especially when your kids get at 13, that's, they get into that precocious age when they get around 13 or 14. When you was 13 or 14 at that point in time, you have it growing out a little bit. You think you got all the answers. You start getting interested in girls, and girls getting interested in guys. So, you get to get under that peer pressure, which is also a constant thing. Kids would have to worry about, that constant peer pressure, trying to fit in. That's one thing I try to teach my kids, to be a leader, not a follower. You don't have to do what everybody else does. I always think outside the box. That's what the one thing I try to teach my kid, and that's what my parents taught me. That's really one thing. Definitely want them to be individuals and not definitely not susceptible to follow anybody like.
So,
I don't know. It just
so
go ahead.
if I may, sorry, EFN, you're on, right?
Yep, I'm on.
Okay, cool. So I had a question for you. Just kind of taking it back to when you were kind of in your son's shoes, right? As the son of your father, who also,
Right.
it sounds like, was a pretty successful musician in his own right.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys ever encounter something similar between you two as you were coming up?
Remember my dad? My dad, he was more. How can I say? He wasn't. He would let me do what I wanted. Kind of let me figure out things in life. I kind of hate I quit playing the drums because I didn't think it was playing the drums. I really hate I quit. If I would have stayed on, I would have probably been a 10 times better drummer than I am now. But I quit. My daddy wanted me to stay on, stay playing the drum. I didn't want to do it no more. I want to play football, chase girls, all that kind of stuff. So I really wish he would have, kept me to be on it. But one thing about my dad, I love about him, the same thing I teach my kids. He was always there for me. He's protective in a way. He let me make my own decisions, but he was anything I needed, he was there for me. Any problem I had, he was there for me. So, and that's the kind of thing I wanted to, the kind of example I wanted to be and have for my kids. I always want to be there. Even though sometimes I might be right, sometimes they might be right or wrong. In either case, it might be. But again, just be a sounding board for your kids. Be there for them. I mean, that's basically what all the parents can do. Of course, God, I'm sure I'm right for wrong. Lead by an example. And it's really, and other than that, they want to have to live their life. My dad, he was really easy going. He would talk to me. He eventually got his doctorate degree and also the dean of graduate school at Prague. And so, he was had his, he had this scholarly way of talking to me and that kind of thing. So, but it's amazing when I look back at it now. How insightful my dad was, and now I picked that stuff up, and that's where I can convey it on to my kids. And again, it's just it's just really a trial by doing process. It's just really no secret formula in doing it. But I guess the key thing is I keep going to is you have to really be in your kids' life. You have to be a focal point for your kids. You really have to lead by example. Your kids gonna pretty much they're gonna pattern after you, whatever you do in life, or how you conduct yourself in life. Kids gonna pretty much mirror you. So I mean, you're their primary example. So that's really the key component of that.
And so Travis, wait, let me ask this, and this is probably out there in the internet.
Yeah, sure.
I just haven't come across it. Does Travis hold any significance to actual? No, because his middle name starts with a B. Where did Travis Scott, the moniker, come from?
Okay, well, let me get into that. See, my dad, the nickname is Jack. See, I was back when I was a little boy. I was a little Jack, and my dad was Big Jack. My dad's name is Wayman Travis Webster. So my son took the Travis. And also, my brother's name is Travis.
Oh, okay.
So my son took the name Travis in honor of my uncle. Of his uncle, which is my brother and my dad. Now the Scott part, I don't know what the Scott part came from.
We're gonna have to get with him for that one.
Yeah, get with him on that. I know when he first started rapping, he called himself J Dog when he first started in the rap game. He was J Dog, and he came on one day and said, "Dad, I'm gonna call myself Travis Scott." I said, "Man, that name's not gonna stick. Travis Scott. That's not even. Oh, you sound catchy to me. Man, that don't work." But yeah, I was wrong by that.
He was. He was 19, I think, if I'm not mistaken, when like his major deal, or the real big boom happened back in around 2012. That's a really young age for anything, but to hit kind of that stride at that age, how difficult was it for you, kind of being his dad through that?
Well, to be honest, it wasn't really difficult at all. It's not. when I say it wasn't difficult, it wasn't something that blew my mind because I guess I was kind of used to that type of environment. Because I've kind of played with the bands and been around that kind of environment a part of my life. So it really wasn't a big trip. But I guess to see my son, hang with all these top rappers and all these top guys, being on this project, that kind of blew me away. Yeah, Lord, he just starting out, man. He's already with Kanye, T.I., he's always with John Legend, and doing that. He's doing a track for Rihanna. He's doing a track for Jay-Z. I mean, good Lord, all this happened in just a matter of years. So that really blew my mind. I mean, just the expediency of how his career just took off. I mean, he was doing it. If you look at some of his YouTube videos he was doing in high school, I mean, he was directing those videos himself and the graphics on it, some of that stuff. That stuff he was doing way back in high school. Wow. And that's how his career picked up. People started seeing these videos of him in high school, and he's doing all that stuff himself. So all the videos you be seeing now that he's doing, all them graphics, all that kind of off the box stuff he be doing. I mean, that's just his mindset. That's him directing that stuff like he was back when he was in high school. So he was, he had something going for himself. I'm like I said, he had something going for himself back in the day. I knew he was, I knew he kind of had something. He just from a music perspective, him not being my son. I said, damn, this kid got kind of guy. If I was a music producer or director, I would the record label, I would have signed his ass myself. He really had some nice stuff back in high school. So, but like I said, I just wanted him to get his education because I come from an educational background. I have a master's degree. My dad has a doctorate degree. My whole family, we all highly educated. So that's one thing I wanted for my son. And once he got his college degree, he could do the thing he wanted to do. But, you can't choose your kid's path. All you can do is just be supportive, and be there for them.
So when he hits this mega celebrity route, and he's got access to everything, and he's just out there. I mean, he is a mega star. How, as a father, I mean, are you able to navigate and kind of help him maneuver so that he's not getting tripped up with? Because I'm sure there's all kinds of people with their hands out and trying to get him to do all kinds of crazy shit.
Oh, absolutely. See, that's the beauty of him having a stable background. I mean, like I said earlier, if he still would call me now. Something's not right, or so he's having a problem with something. He has all his handlers and lawyers and finance people. He still calls his dad. But for all kinds of stuff. In any type of situation, people he's getting bad press. He gets depressed by that, so he'll call his dad, and I guide him through. I tell him, don't let stuff get him down. Because people don't bite into it. I just give him that kind of insight, of how things are. And just sit back. And that's probably why he's how he cheats. If he don't be in too much trouble. He don't get in too much media crap. He stays out of that stuff because I keep him well grounded that way. I always tell my son, stay humble. That's one thing I talk to him all the time. To stay humble. I understand he just did an XFL article not too long ago. And he mentioned that I haven't seen the article, but I heard in the article he mentioned, my dad always say, stay humble. So that's one thing I primarily preach to all three of my kids. Don't let this big light, the limelight get to you. Because it's always fading. Always stay ahead of the game. That's pretty much it.
Are you?
So he's always though. He's always around. Celebrities, all that stuff, but he doesn't. It doesn't affect him. He doesn't. He doesn't get all that. But more people more excited to see him than he is to see them. He's doing Stevie Wonder, Philip Bailey. He's doing cats I grew up with. And I remember one time when he was telling me he's gonna have Philip Bailey on his album, after Earth, Wind & Fire. I said, Junior, how did you get with him? He said, well, Daddy, I always hear you play Earth, Wind & Fire in the bedroom.
Wow.
So I looked at it, I said, wow. I said, okay, that's cool. I said, I always hear you with Stevie Wonder. That's why I wanted him. Okay, shit. So, it's just crazy. That's the thing about it. Again, it was in the children. You don't tell every kid has a special talent. It's up to the parent to develop their talent, to enhance that talent, and to encourage that talent. All our kids in this earth are successful in one way or another. But it's definitely up to parents to guide them and nurture them and lead them in the right direction.
How do you?
It's really that easy,
How do you? I imagine, and hopefully I'm wrong, but I would imagine just given siblings, right? There's got to be
Mm-hmm.
some rivalry, maybe jealousy, etc., between kids, just naturally. In this case, how does that dynamic play out in your household? Given you got a younger set of twins, and they see their brother
Yeah,
kind of in the limelight everywhere, how does that affect them?
well, it really doesn't. I mean, it affects them positively. I mean, they look up to their brothers. See, I guess what happens is a big age difference. They're like 8 or 9 years apart.
Yeah.
So, for them, Junior's their role model. He can't do no wrong. He showers them with gifts and loves and stuff. So I want to buy him nothing. Buy the kids nothing. He gets them everything. So, yeah. It's nothing but love between them three. So it's all good. Now I can see that if they're probably close in age, I could possibly see some type of good sibling rivalry. Because me and my brother, we like 14 months apart. And
Oh
we
wow.
still be ripping each other to this very day. So
Y'all Irish twins.
I can see that. I'm sorry.
I said y'all Irish twins.
Yeah, I guess. I guess so.
Now, Jack, I read somewhere also that, and I guess DJ Premier, he went to Prairie View, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard that you were instrumental in teaching him about drums and drumming.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, in fact, the DJ Premier was my neighbor. The Martins and us and the Websters, we grew up like 3 houses down from each other. And I remember Chris back in the day his real name was Chris Martin. We used DJ Premier to everybody. But Chris would come to the house, and first of all, he wanted to learn how to play bass, and I had taught my brother how to play bass. So me and my brother would be jamming in our game room with our parents' home, and Chris would come over, just watch us play, and he would his parents bought him a bass, and my brother would teach him how to play bass. And then obviously I was the DJ at Prairie View. I was the DJ all the parties in Prairie View. So next thing I know, Chris bought him some new DJ equipment. So he's outbidding me for DJ parties in our neighborhood. Yeah. So after a while, once I got to college, I started DJing. So Chris really became, that's when he just really took off DJing and doing all this thing. And after that, next thing I know, we did one of my bands. We did a gig in Prairie View, and Chris was the DJ while we played. And I know Chris told me, Jack, I'm about to go to New York and do this, do that. I said, oh, man, good luck. And shit, next thing I know, he's with Guru doing gang stuff. Wow. So yeah, Chris, and I appreciate he gave me some props. I know he did an interview not too long ago. He gave me some props, and I appreciate it. So yeah, he was just amazing how his career took off. He was like just a precocious kid, man, coming to our house, man, just watching me and my brother jam, and he would borrow some of our records to DJ. I would borrow some of his records to DJ, and that's just how it came about.
That's dope. Have you have you played anything on any of your son's records?
No, I keep telling him, man, we need to do a project together. He look at me and laugh and blow me off. So I don't know. But I know eventually one day we gonna probably do something together. I keep sending him drum beats. And I said, Jude, let's do this. He come in, that's all right. He's all right. That's cool, Dad. That sounds good, So I hope he's gonna take my beats next time I hear something on one of his projects. Sample one of my drum beats. I like to school it.
Gotta get that production
but
credit,
but I really hope one day we get to do something together. That would really be cool.
I know you mentioned at the open, and a few times that we interacted, I know you were kind of rushing to or from studio sessions. You're working on some projects. You're expecting them to drop. What kind of music should we be expecting to hear from you?
Well, I call it jazz funk. I had put a little preview of one of my tracks on my Facebook page. But it's more, it's old school funk, and they're all instrumental type tunes. I have saxophone players and trumpet players and keyboardists, doing different solos and stuff on it. So it's more of a funk, stuff probably parents would love. It's old school groove funk, heavy bass lines, that type of stuff. So I've been getting a lot of good previews on it. So I'm just waiting for it to finish getting it fixed up and master it up, and I'm going to hopefully release it next month or so.
Nice. And does your family, do you guys get caught up in any of the like paparazzi stuff? People coming at you trying to get information, pictures, any of that kind of stuff, or are you guys pretty much shielded from that?
Well, we were shielded. I'm just trying to keep a low, phase of not being that scene, but it's slowly but surely, we getting up to some places we go, people come up to us and want to take a picture, that kind of stuff. And it's cool, because it doesn't happen that much. Sometimes it does get unnerving when you just out of blue somebody come up to you, And I said, "Damn, how you know the heck I am?" I'm just an average Joe person. Right now it's not that bad, but I see it progressively getting worse and worse. Like it's more popular. My son is getting, but it's all good. I love it. I'm not hating, but it's all good.
Oh.
So you're also a grandfather, correct?
Yeah.
So is it just Stormy, or you have other grandchildren?
Just Stormy. Yeah, just Stormy. Yeah, she just turned 2. We was down there in LA last Super Bowl weekend. She just turned 2.
And so how is
smart as ridiculous.
Yeah, I bet. But so we talk about it often just because, from our own perspective, our parents raised us a particular way, usually more stern, right? And then when the grandchild hits, our parents and, the kid's grandparent turns into the biggest softy. You see it time and time again.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, Bun B said that was the case as well. We had him on the show not too long ago. So
wow. Well, yeah.
So the question is, did you fall victim to the same, or are you Mr. Stern when it comes to the grandchild?
I fall right in line. I'm just as soft. It's amazing when they came out here for Christmas. We had bought her a little tent in her bedroom. She said, "Come on, Grandpa, get inside the tent." So I'm laying down the tent with her. We just talking. It's tripping me out because we just having a conversation. And my son come in and said, "Look, my dad. Look at him. He's just happy. I don't know what to do." And I really was. I was with my granddaughter. I was sitting there, sitting Indian style, with our legs crossed, and we was talking like like two old friends. So yeah, I mean, I'm buttered when it comes to her. I'm just shit. Whatever she wants, she got it. She don't lose when it comes to her. My grandpa get her anything she wants. So yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's definitely. Once you become a grandpa, you would know. I just can't explain. You just as soft as I don't know what. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Seems to be the general consensus then.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, brother, listen. We could talk forever, but we promised a certain amount of time, so we're trying to stick to that. So we appreciate having you, and I know you got work to do, so we want you to get back to it.
Yeah, I promise y'all guys I was gonna come through, so I really appreciate y'all guys. Let me wrap with y'all guys. And I hope I kind of make a little sense of it. It's all good, my brothers.
Always. No, this is perfect, man. We just like we said, man. We trying to kick it, trying to learn what we can from your experience. Maybe some of that star power rubs off on us too. Maybe we get a couple seedlings out there in the world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And if y'all guys haven't seen that, my son's documentary on Netflix, yeah, definitely check it out because that really answers a lot of stuff about how he was raised and his upbringing as well. So if people have seen the documentary, Look, Mama, I Think I Can Fly. I think it's still on Netflix. Definitely check it out.
It's called Look, Mama, I Can Fly.
On Netflix,
Look,
right?
Mama, I Think I Can Fly. Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Perfect. Yeah, no, we'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, like I said, definitely check it out. Yeah, it answers a lot of questions about how I upgraded with my son and a lot of things. So this really was a great piece.
Dope.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll check it out.
All right, Big Jack.
Right,
we appreciate you, brother.
All right, brother. G's up.
G's up.
All right, but y'all take care.
All right, man.
Peace.
All right. Boom. All right, so that was dope to hear a perspective from a dad with a celebrity son.
Yeah, that was dope.
With a megastar.
And it's more than celebrity.
Megastar, yeah.
Downplaying, how big his son really is. Like,
you know, it's funny.
Crazy. And the one
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, the one question I was gonna ask that you asked, Kay, was about him. Like if he felt like the way that I was gonna question, like the question I was gonna ask was like, was he worried about the pitfalls
Right.
that this industry kind of like could have in this industry, and kind of answered that really well.
Yeah, I guess, but he was right. Like you don't really see Travis Scott out there on in media with a lot of negative stuff attached to him, other than like maybe relationship stuff. But you don't hear much in terms of violence or drugs or any of that kind of stuff going on in his world.
Yeah, he's
right.
pretty.
And I mean, I guess
okay.
it just goes to a greater thing, not specific to him. It's just really important about having that stable family life as the foundation.
Yeah.
And consistency that I love to always say.
I mean, that's always what we talk about, right? We're always like so worried about, but what if this misstep causes this chain reaction that results in this fucking disaster, in the future? But I think, the general consensus, I know we always refer to this. It's like, that foundation, so long as we know we're putting down the right shit to level them out, so to speak, create well-rounded human beings, a lot of this shit can likely be alleviated or remedied really quickly, so long as there is that trust too. Because it sounds like between Travis and his dad, they still have that bond, right? So his son will come talk, reach out to him if he's in a bind or what have you.
Yeah, the fact that Jack is saying that his son will call him up, and if he's depressed or if he's got questions or things aren't going right, that he's looking to him for advice. It's a good reminder of how important it is for laying down that stable environment early on.
Well, he was saying that, it's funny because it made me think of like myself, and I was like, it's funny that as much as I feel like maybe like me and my mom, or my mom might not understand certain things, I do find myself in certain situations when it's big decisions to be made, I will consult with my mom. Whether I think I'm going to get the answer I want or not, I still consult with her, and I feel like that's kind of like what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's crazy to me, like when you think about the resources at Travis's disposal, the teams he probably has, and all these different people that are probably really intelligent in their respective fields. There's no comparison, regardless of who you got in your corner. Like that value that comes from a trusted parent's perspective kind of trumps everything. No pun intended.
Well, that's exactly. See, the trust is exactly what it is, because all those people he could have in his corner, at the end of the day, the understanding is all these people have something to gain from it.
Yeah.
And if you trust your parent and you trust that they're not trying to game you, then they're the only person, or one of the very few people in your life that you can go to that are not giving you any kind of information to point you in a certain direction because they're going to gain from it.
Yeah.
They truly are thinking of your well-being. Sometimes it's not exactly like, maybe it's not even the right decision for you, but what they're coming to, usually, the trusted parent is really coming from a good place, where most of the people, all those people that he's talking about, the lawyers, the accountants, the managers, you always have to say to yourself, well, these people are coming from a place where they're monetizing everything I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this. This is our first guest that my daughter was ecstatic about, even though it wasn't actually Travis. She was like,
all right.
She texted me. She was like, no flipping way. I was like, yo, you better chill out with these F words. Like that shit's a little too close. But yeah, she was like really pumped. And I was like, but it's just his dad. She's like, I don't care. I want to know, like, how did Travis come out? Like, how did that happen? I'm like, all right, girl, relax.
Hey, she's right, bro. You're wrong. In the perspective of this podcast, he's the star, the dad.
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But she never jives with anybody, obviously, because there's no tie for her. But I just thought it was interesting.
Off topic.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have for you guys. At school, if the school rules are no punching, and someone hit your kid, would you want your kid to hit the other kid back or follow the school rules?
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is one of those gotchas. Because I want to answer immediately, but there's going to be a twist somewhere. So when you say school rules, okay, fine. Are there any repercussions outside of school penalization that I got to worry about?
No, other than, I mean, I don't know how, the other parents react and all that kind of stuff,
that's
but
whatever.
just really specifically school rules.
No, I don't give a fuck. for me, it's I preach in my house. Don't unless you really have to, don't be the one starting the situation. But if you get hit, you got to get hit back. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page here.
Oh, damn, I thought we had like a twist coming.
No. I'm just curious because my son was getting into it with some kid the other day, and he did not end up punching the kid, but I forget if he was talking to the nurse or he was talking to another teacher or something to the effect. Like, he was mad. He wanted to
light that ass up.
Yeah, and then of course, the school official was, well, that's not allowed. You wouldn't want to do that. That's not allowed. And so I think the confusing thing for him, like is like, hey, you might get in trouble at school. You might get the pink slip or whatever, but you're not going to get in trouble at home. And so it's like getting them to understand that the school trouble, yeah, you don't want to be the one starting these things and all that good stuff, but it's really what's the final consequence at home. And I think that can be confusing for kids sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I have a, again, kind of tangent to something new here, but I got to figure out how I can say this without divulging too much shit. I can't. I'm gonna have to skip this. It's way too serious.
Too convoluted. Okay.
Nah, it's too serious, and I don't want to put the people involved in this shit out there because it's really serious. Hopefully, I'll have a better way to bring it up at some point. But yeah, right now I don't think it's the right time. So sorry, listeners, for the blue balls.
Great.
So the last time that we spoke, was I telling you guys that my daughter, something was wrong with her?
Yeah,
the fever.
She had a fever that day last week.
And that was on what day did we do that? We did it on
Thursday.
We did it on an off day, right?
Yeah.
Monday, Thursday, I forget.
No, on a Thursday. So to bring you up to speed, that night, in the middle of the night, we had to take her to urgent care.
Oh shit.
She apparently she had an allergic reaction to some insect bites. She got hives. Yeah, she got hives all over her body. And I'm talking about all over her body, the face and everything.
Whoa.
And yeah, it was scary. I mean, it's still scary. It's still, and this is kind of like a question as well. So then we take her to urgent care, which at first I was a little on the fence, because at the time we wanted to go, we found an urgent care close to us that's like no wait, real clean, and we've been there twice with her, and it's been great. But that one doesn't open so late, so we had to find a 24-hour one, and that one is not the same.
Yeah.
So I was like a little bit on the fence about it, but whatever, we went because we just couldn't wait to see what was going on. Wanted to make sure she was okay. We take her. They prescribe her, like we're showing them the insect bites, but the hive thing is all over her body. They didn't really check, like they didn't take her clothes off or anything. They just kind of like we lifted her shirt and they kind of saw some of it, but they didn't see the worst of it.
Yeah.
And they prescribed Benadryl, some steroid, and some antibiotics.
Damn.
which we went and got that night. And then the next, the next day we give it to her immediately. The next day she's getting worse. She looks worse, so we're freaking out. We call her pediatrician, and they said we told them the medications. He said they covered all bases, based on what we're telling them, and that the medication is going to take a few days to kick in. My girls called the pediatrician. Then I called the pediatrician the next day because I'm starting to freak out looking at her. Like, there's stuff on her hands now. It's like it's bubbling up, like little like pimple type stuff all over her hands and her face, and it's like freaking me out. And I'm thinking like I'm not so much worried that it's something life threatening, but I'm thinking, imagine if we don't, because she's scratching herself too. She's a toddler. I'm like, imagine if we're not doing
infected.
everything we can to make sure she doesn't get scarred for the future.
Yeah. Yep.
So I called up the pediatrician, which kind of got me and my girl in a little argument because she had called before me the day before, and then I called. She's like, "What? You don't think that I trust what I told you?" I was like, "No, I just want to know for myself. Like I have my own questions." And then he told me the same thing. He was like, "Look, they covered all the bases. We're Googling and all this stuff. We're freaking out. Like, could it be SARS? Could it be, a bacterial infection? Could it be
that's the
staph
worst
infection?"
when you start searching. You come up with all
Right,
kinds
and
of
I even called back the urgent care and said, "Hey, you guys didn't really check her thoroughly, And then the lady was like, "Well, we covered all the bases of the things that it could be." And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Look, I'm not gonna lie, we're kind of Googling the lady." You could tell she's like, "Yeah, I know, you're probably looking."
Not these guys again.
Yeah, but nah, she was kind of cool. She's like, "Look, everything's covered. If she starts to, if it seems like it's really getting bad, if she starts to throw up or something like that, just bring her back in, no problem. She was trying to be sympathetic and all that." But and then the pediatrician like, bring her in on Monday, which the only thing downside of taking her into the pediatrician like without an appointment is that place gets so packed that if you go there without an appointment, you're there for 3 hours for sure, minimum. So then you're around other sick kids, and it's just like,
Right.
My daughter's gonna be all aggravated or whatever. So then finally it seemed like, first of all, the fever was only the one night, thank God. So she didn't have fever anymore. Then finally it seemed like by Sunday, the meds started kicking in. It seemed like it stopped spreading. It started scabbing up, which it doesn't look aesthetically good, but we could tell it's healing, And then her personality came back. Like before, she was like kind of like drowsy and kind of like not, just cranky. And then she started having her personality came back. And then yesterday she seemed pretty much back to normal personality wise. And we kind of decided not to go to the pediatrician.
Any idea what kind of insect bites these were that would have caused that?
No, I mean, it's between mosquitoes and spiders.
Yeah.
This is the second time that it happens in terms of the way that the bite looks, like the way that her reaction, like it's a big bumpy bite type of thing. But this is the first time she gets like a hive reaction. So the pediatrician said that what happens is that sometimes because it seemed like she had 3 of these bites, sometimes when the skin breaks like that and you get some kind of an infection, it'll bring it opens up the body easier to other infections, like skin infection.
Are you worried about insects penetrating the house, and like do you have to call your homeboy
who was the exterminator we talked about a couple episodes ago?
You got to call that dude back so he can exterminate the crib?
Well, the thing is, I don't think it's the crib. We live in Miami, dude. We live in the Everglades.
Oh, so you think it probably hit her outside of the house?
Well, if it's mosquitoes, anywhere.
No, for sure,
sure. And if it's spiders, even worse, because the spiders tend to burrow in our cars.
Oh, word?
And they live in the cars for some reason. That's where I've seen most of the spider activity for a while now, for years. That I've had cars, and you'll see all the baby spiders in the cars. So that means they're living in that motherfucker.
Oh, I didn't know that shit. You're gonna have to call Joaquin to exterminate the fucking whip. I didn't know that shit.
You could exterminate the whip, but what happens? This is what I think. I'm not a fucking environmental perfectionist here, but
That's your new business.
yeah, I'm not an expert on this, but what I think is that because of the rain in Miami, it causes these insects to go wherever it's dry, and you can fumigate a car, but after a couple rain cycles, those insects will be back in there. You know.
I'll buy it. That's a pretty good assessment.
So my hopefulness is that because see, to me personally, I'm pretty immune to mosquito bites per se. I don't really get bothered by mosquitoes, and I think that maybe living out here so long and just being kind of like exposed to them, maybe you just kind of build up an immunity. My girl who came from LA, she's easily bothered by mosquitoes and gets these nasty bites. So I'm just hoping that maybe my daughter with time builds up an immunity to these insect bites. And yeah, that's where we're at.
So she's on the mend, right? There's no, I mean, she's pretty much in the clear at this point, or is she still?
I mean, we don't have a medical 100% clear, but yeah, it seems pretty much in the clear. All the doctors across the board said, hey, calm down, parents. In other words, calm down, let the meds work, you know?
Right.
The meds seem to be working. The only obstacle at this point is it's a toddler that has a bunch of scabs all over her body that she wants to scratch. That's the only obstacle at this point that we have.
And E, we haven't done a baby watch in a little bit. What's the latest on baby number 2?
My girl went to the doctor today. Everything just seems pretty normal. Nothing, due in June.
Yay. That's going to be here like tomorrow, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Are you ready?
No.
Oh, good. Good. Honesty is the best policy.
Definitely not ready. So, yeah, I'll be leaning on fatherhood.
Well, my friends, it is that time to say goodbye. And you haven't said
like Boys to Men?
There you go. Yeah,
indeed.
There it is. You like Boys to Men, E? I didn't take you for a Boys to Men kind of guy.
Who didn't like Boys to Men from my era? Remember, you're a little young.
You bugging? Yo, Boys to Men was my shit.
Come on, that whole clique, ABC and the whole 9 yards. Like.
All right. Now you have some respect.
ABC, BBD.
Even MC Brains was the shit.
Oh yeah.
I bet you don't know about that.
I
man.
don't.
You mean the East Coast family?
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Easy.
All right.
Peace.
Later, guys.
Later.